Right. In fact, breaking news coming in, global shipping giant AP Moller Maersk has suspended all vessel crossings through the Strait of Hormuz, citing escalating tensions in the Middle East. Maersk added that it will pause future trans-Suez sailings through the Bab el-Mandeb Strait for now. All sailings on the Middle East India to Mediterranean and Middle East India to East Coast to US services will instead be rerouted around the Cape of Good Hope. Of course, it's a longer route. The decision follows the mounting disruptions in the key oil artery after the US and Israel attacked Iran and Tehran. Ambassador Sikri, what do you make of that? This is obviously going to bring up, the oil prices, and this is not something which non-warring countries can overlook.
Absolutely. No, the impact on oil we're going to know tomorrow morning when the markets open. And I think that's going to be the first big impact of this event. I do see with all these cross currents that the longevity of this conflict is threatens to be much longer than originally anticipated. It's not going to end soon. I think the kingpin of this whole effort is still remains what the younger generation, the Gen Z in Iran is going to do. Are they going to respond to the call from President Trump? Of course, they've been aided by Mossad a lot, and Mossad has infiltrated almost every part of Iran's bureaucracy and military hierarchy. But the impact on Gen Z, this is going to be absolutely the critical factor. And if they are going to come out in larger numbers and raise an internal situation, which might even lead to a civil war in Iran, because you're going to have the IRGC will not keep quiet. I think this is the biggest danger, and then of course the whole question of Iran's sovereignty. So I think the ability of President Pezeshkian, who is one of the known moderates in this entire situation, whether he's going to be able to keep the different groupings of the IRGC, the internal conflict that has arisen within Iran, whether he's going to keep all the groups together and fight as one for Iran to regain and to keep its sovereignty and the unity of its people, or if President Pezeshkian is not able to do it, there is going to be the internal fight breaking out into open, has been mentioned in so many ways. I think the fact of China being so closely involved, as Major General Sudhakarji has so clearly explained, is also another factor. Is China going to back off from this, or is going to keep on helping Iran? We all remember that there's a visit by President Trump to China happening later this month. So, this is a very, very sensitive aspect of China giving this kind of very strong help to Iran. So, the verticals in this conflict are so huge and so large. I think the first thing is to see what's happening internally in Iran, and secondly, the market reaction. But that's going to be crucial for President Trump himself, because anything that's going to affect his economy is going to be terrible for his midterms, and that's what he's looking at primarily right now.
Okay, we have some breaking news coming in. Sumit, I saw your hand go up. I'm going to come to you momentarily. Well, the UAE's Ministry of Defense has said that its Air Force and air defense systems have intercepted and dealt with a massive wave of Iranian projectiles since the start of the attack on the 28th of February, including 165 ballistic missiles, 2 cruise missiles and 541 drones, with 3 fatalities and 58 minor injuries that have been reported. Sumit Peer, I saw your hand go up. I want you to put forth your point, and then I'll ask you another question.
Vinny, the question I wanted to ask, basically answer is about the Russia and China. Look, China is not going to come in the front. China will not confront America. China cannot afford to do that with $70 trillion of debt on its heads. You shouldn't be insane to do that. And your equipment has failed in Operation Sindoor. It has failed in Cambodia. It has failed in Bangladesh. It has failed in Venezuela. It has failed in Iran. It is completely dominated by Israeli and American jets. Look at any video. Don't believe me. So China is out of the game. Russians have just expressed condolence to Khamenei's family. Beyond that, Russia is not interested. Because these people they don't have anything much to gain out of that. That's where the American-Russian position is. Why should they confront America and the whole of the NATO and all the Western allies? What are they going to get out of Iran? Practically nothing. And even if you go and help them today, do you think Khamenei is not going to return their favor? Of course. Push comes to shove, when there'll be next attack in Russia, these people would have been somewhere got trained from Hezbollah, and there will be Hezbollah or a Hamas connection somewhere. So that is how these things people really operate. And I wanted to ask about Pakistan. You see, when you talk of Pakistan, they are the jokers of the circus, Vinny. They are there to entertain. Now, today, this same Shahbaz, can he explain how so many people entered the embassy of America in Karachi? What was his police doing? What was his army doing? They were the American guards who fired and killed 15 Pakistanis. I hope there would be 150, but only the number was 15. So, what kind of a hypocrite is this? What kind of a moron is this? A couple of months back, they were firing rockets at each other. And doesn't he know Munir has a deal with America? Doesn't he know you're signed an access with America? You're going to let them use your runways, airspace, and water. Don't you know your drones are flying? All the reconnaissance on Iran went from Pakistani shore, Pakistani airstrips. So what is he trying to do? Be more mullah than the mullahs of Iran? Be a bigger mullah? Let him go a beard, wear a black dip. At least he will have a look and feel of a mullah. Today he looks like that fake mullah, like his mullah Munir. What are these Pakistanis up to? What do they think? They don't even consider Shias and Muslim. They said only Sunnis are Muslims. They don't even consider Shias and Muslims. Now he's expressing international rules have been violated and all the crap has been done. Why then, if you are so much of a Musalman, then why are you killing Afghans in Ramzan? Why are you bombing women and children there? What is your important army doing in Afghanistan? So the only thing you do is kill women and children and then come and say, oh, we are very sad for the Khamenei. Why did last time Mullah Munir went and gave a watch to the general got killed? When this time he wanted to go there, why wasn't Mullah Munir allowed inside the Iran? Does Shahbaz have an answer to that? And how did the people get into the consulate in Karachi? What were they doing? Did they close the eyes? Did they let the people go and think what Americans can do best? Today there would have been another Benghazi if the American guards or the Marines inside the embassy would have not fired. Now there's one important question. I want to ask through your network. Now Iran attacked Saudi Arabia. There's a pact between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. Attack on Saudi, attack on Pakistan, vice versa. So when is Mullah Munir going to go and attack Iran? Right? Now embassy of America, which is America typically, is attacked in Pakistan. So is our Americans going to retaliate? Are Saudis going to come and fight when they attack Pakistan? So who is going to fight for whom? There's a military alliance, right? Or it was just a photo op? And what happened to that so-called Muslim NATO, Islamic NATO, Ummat ke Sipahi, Islamic Bomb, Sipah Salar Islam? There were all those fancy names and titles given to themselves. What happened to them? When are they fighting Iran? When are they fighting America? Logically, what has happened in the last 48 hours, they should be fighting Iran and America both, because that is what the agreement says. Or it was only a paper thing just to show, the false Islamic Muslim bravado, how brave we are. And today, everybody is running for shelter. Is that what is happening?
All right, fair enough. General Sudhakarji, what about countries like Turkey, who have in fact been trying to browbeat India, over Kashmir and support Pakistan? Why are they so quiet today?
Firstly, apologies, Vinit. There is a temple close to my house. Therefore, whatever communications are being made by you and the panelists, they're getting drowned. So I'm finding it very difficult to decipher what exactly is being spoken. So you are asking a question with regard to Turkey, am I right? And
correct, sir. Correct.
They're absolutely quiet. So kindly bear with me. As far as I'm concerned, it is wait and watch as far as the Turkey is concerned. And Turkey, we need to understand the larger game in the Islamic world. What is the larger game? The larger game in the Islamic world is the contestation for the Ummah. There are three countries who are into this kind of competition. One is Turkey, second is Saudi Arabia, third is Iran. Iran is trying to, so far, till the attack took place and the supreme leader was neutralized, their one concept and philosophy they were trying to project, despite being a Shiite nation, they have been extending support for the cause of the Sunnis, that is Hamas, and thereby extending the philosophy and their supremacy amongst the Ummah and trying to play a lead role. So maybe because of this particular primary or predominant factor, Turkey is actually downplaying or keeping quiet at the moment. But behind all this, there is a big game going on. We should be aware of it. Turkey and Qatar, they are hand in gloves with regard to whatever is happening. Taking help of Qatar, sooner or later, they will be coming down very heavily in form of some kind of a retaliation against Iran. This is my prediction and assessment. For all you know, it may not happen. But more than that, is that the combat capability we need to keep in mind. I didn't understand or didn't get your earlier question right. If it was related to combat residual power, then we need to understand that Iran armed forces is a big armed force. It cannot be compared with Venezuela, one. Number two, despite the losses they have had, Hezbollah have lost around 4,000 plus Hamas have lost around 30,000 people, 38,000 if I recall, although the figures are floating around between 55 to 65. Genuinely, there are 38 to 40,000 people who have died. More number of people have joined Hamas. Houthis, they have lost around 1,500. So what I am trying to indicate, I am trying to indicate the recoup capability of all these organizations have been faster. New recruitment has taken place. New weapon system, the industrial capability of Iran should not be underestimated. Much against what is floating in the open source, including the Wikipedia and the Google, they say there are about 3,000 missiles. No, the rate at which the missile production in Iran started way back in 84, 85, and it was with an objective to achieve a target of 300 missiles per month. You just leave aside those 10 years or 8 years of Iran-Iraq war, where heavy attrition has taken place. Per year, the production of missile has been 3,600, the bottom line I'm talking of. You calculate from the early part of 90s till 2025, and calculate, multiply by 3,600, it's anything around 10 lakhs, 1 million missiles, out of which 1,50,000 were with Hezbollah. They have lost around 40%. It's down to 60,000 odd missiles there. What is
All
it
right,
that
sir.
I'm
All right,
trying-
so fair enough. We've have a lot of grounds to cover and a lot of breaking news also coming in. But before that, we're going to take a quick customary break. We'll be right back.